Welcome to another episode of Business of Building, a personal note from leaders of today to leaders of tomorrow. And I'm your host, Gauri Lamb. I'm really excited to record the podcast today, and it is going to be the last for the season. So it was very fitting to invite my partner in life and my business partner, James Lamb, to sit down with us and discuss a few of our journey milestones for how the Iola's Capital started, the journey for entrepreneurship, what we are doing now. Certainly, I get asked a question a lot of times, how is it working together with your husband? I'm sure you get the same question, how is it working together with your wife? So maybe we can unpick that a little bit. We won't go into too much detail because we're very scared what the outcome might be. But we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Entrepreneurship and doing your own thing was always something you wanted to do. Why was it? How did it start?
When I was, I suppose I had jobs fairly early on, 15, 16, 17. And then at university, the first thought was with a friend, we bought these two Pedicabs, which are kind of rickshaws, the ones you see going around London as well. And
the one with the loud music.
That's right, yeah.
Did you have music, actually? I
We
never
didn't.
asked you that. Okay.
We didn't have music.
Ask you the question.
So pedicabbing, being a pedicab taxi driver around Edinburgh was the first kind of self-employment experience, I guess. And then my friend Tom, we also had an idea to provide student storage for people in Edinburgh. There's a large percentage of the population and of students who were international. So they had a need from sort of May to September when they were off in the summer for storage. So we'd pick the stuff up, take it to storage, bring it back to them after. So that was 2 summers in Edinburgh as well. And it just kind of prompted a thought of the excitement of pulling together a proposition, offering it to customers, adding value and making money off your own back. Then after graduation, I kind of got sucked into corporate world through consulting, becoming a management accountant, working for Tesco and a lot of the bigger names, big retail brands. Yeah, that was learned an immense amount and remained good friends with a number of people there. But still, always throughout that period, I had an itch of how can I get back to entrepreneurship? How can I get back to working for myself and being master of my own destiny?
But none of your family members, none is a wrong statement, but not a lot of your family members have that.
Yeah, most of my family are.
So, because we talk about role modeling quite a lot, don't we? So
Yeah.
if I have to look at that from your perspective.
Yeah, most entrepreneurs have entrepreneurial parents versus the baseline of most people. My dad was not an entrepreneur, but he was entrepreneurial in what he did. He had to raise a lot of money for his department from external sources. So a lot of what he did was entrepreneurial because he'd be going for funding from different government sources and private sources. So I suppose that I saw him do a lot of that stuff and campaigning. He used to say that was the bit that he enjoyed as the job of having that autonomy and
responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility and being able to forge the department he wanted to. But you are correct, like most of them were doctors, more academics. Yeah, not involved in business at all.
You sidetrack a few amazing stories about your pedicabbing days, or even when you started your own business, which was the storage business, which taught you a few lessons, didn't it? Like getting maximum tips during the pedicabs. I still remember you telling me the story of sitting on the edge of the pavement, showing that you're working so hard and people would feel sorry and give you bigger tips.
Yeah, I think pedicabbing, you talk to people all day, all night about where they want to go or their story. So I suppose there was a large component of sales and speaking to people about what they need. So that was definitely that aspect, and probably on the storage side, that was a little bit more logistical. And so the second year around, we did it better. But things like we had a huge storage unit that we'd hired to put everyone's belongings, and we'd mapped out 4 different levels, on I think, 4 big, can't think what you call them, like storage cupboards. And we had everyone's names coded on this one piece of paper. And it was actually my dad who said, you might want to take a copy of that.
So you had this one paper with everyone's belongings listed on it.
Exactly.
So if you lose that, that's it. Business gone.
Well, I mean, we had everyone's stuff tagged, but it would have taken forever to sort
it
out and unpick. But even from making flyers and putting it on, under every door in the storage facilities, engaging with the university about advertising, there were a lot of different aspects to that kind of exposed me and gave me a spark of, wow, business is really interesting.
It's so interesting that you're talking about it, because even when you're talking about this, these are not the things which we get taught of in the schools or in the university. We gain so much knowledge for sure in a theoretical way, but the items you're mentioning are not something which come from the books. So the experience is only going to be valuable even if you're doing a job, really, isn't it? So it's incredible that, for me, my first brush with, and this is me sitting here, I think a couple of years ago, and I was really looking back at all the dots in my life, and I realized actually I was exposed to entrepreneurship through my mum, who had her own business. She was a beautician, she had her own clients, and I used to help her out taking appointments. I didn't know that I was doing that with a purpose. I just had to do it. There was no other way, or else you don't get food. The things I picked up from that, the how to talk to people. Sometimes you're tired, you're stressed, but you still be the best you can. How to manage angry people if they're stressed out. How do you deal with them? So that those, even from my dad's side, they had a business. So I still remember sitting on the till and counting money and trying to understand, hang on a minute, why did they buy this? What could we have done better? But as a child, and now it comes back, and the things you pick are so, so important. Do you think entrepreneurship, when you thought you were in a job and then you're thinking, I need to get back to entrepreneurship, and now that you are doing that, do you think it is the same that you thought it would be? Has it answered the call, as it were?
I think overall, yes. I suppose I thought in my head it would be more of a startup type environment, starting something from the ground up. But actually the skill sets that you and I learnt in university and then subsequently in jobs have been really useful in applying to existing businesses and improving them and getting them to the next level. So I think that was probably different from what I expected. As like, okay, I'm going to go and raise some money, group together with a few people, and get started. Whereas
you had some, just came to me. You had some ideas in between them as well, right?
Yeah.
There was the idea of crick fuel.
That's right. Yeah.
Which was cricket powder.
That's right.
Energy bars. I still remember you getting those samples and asking me to try them.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was pregnant at the time and I could get away saying, no, thank you. I don't think I should be having this. I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it's like, it's a journey. And because everyone thinks that it's like a one-night success story for anyone who goes on this journey. But actually, there are so many different things you have tried.
I think probably, what's different from what you expect? I think my natural default, and maybe that's similar for a lot of entrepreneurs as it is with you and probably others as well, is to work hard until you make it. But actually to go through the ups and downs of anything, you really need to manage yourself effectively first. And so I suppose that's the thing I've been trying to focus a little bit more on the last year or two, is making sure you sleep right, get the right nutrition, drink appropriately, and manage your overall...
Drink water appropriately.
Drink water, yeah. And manage your overall energy levels, because there's no backstop like you are you're the
The
one.
buck stops with you.
The buck stops with you.
So you had the job, and then what happened next? How did you go? How did you start the phase 2 of entrepreneurship?
It kind of morphed into consulting. So my last job was in a consumer goods business in a sort of finance team role supporting the CFO. Then I went into consulting to support a startup.
No, then you went rowing across the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we'd had a
because
goal
that's the time which was the time when I started thinking of entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
This was never a bug I had, really. This was never I never thought of it as my calling.
No. Yeah, so there was a break between sort of corporate and entrepreneurship, definitely, in terms of there was a 2-year plan to a friend of mine from university was keen on doing this campaign adventure, is participating in this event where 35 boats left from La Gomera, went over to Antigua, so spent 45 days at sea with all the kind of preparation that went with it with another 3 guys. So it definitely gives you time to reflect and gives you proper separation. It's interesting that, stopping one venture is finite in time, but actually your brain takes time to catch up and think about new ideas.
Yeah, because that's where on a satellite phone, when we used to speak, you phoned me and said, I don't think I can come back to my job. That was the first time you voiced it that way before you, because you left, you were on a sabbatical, really, when you left. But when you had that time and separation, that was the first time you voiced it out loud.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I could see it kind of building up, but that was the first time you mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then that got me going a bit. So what does it mean for me?
Yeah, and you'd sort of done some investigation at that point and looked into buying existing businesses that are which have been running for decades long. And that was really you that had that first spark, wasn't it?
In that sense, yeah. And then I was like, oh, actually, because I never considered me as, that business, you think entrepreneurship is starting with an idea and starting with a product and starting from scratch as a startup. That was my understanding of entrepreneurship as well. You need to have a great idea or a product or something which someone wants, and then that's how it starts as a seed. But then when I stumbled across this, that hang on a minute, I don't need, because I was like, that's why I always wrote it off, that it's not for me. Because I don't think I have a clever idea. And so you just like, I'm good at this, I'm doing really, really well, I'm getting promoted, I'm at the peak of my career. So you just plow on and do the same thing again and again. So when you mentioned that you're not going to come back to a job and you're going to look at this, then I started looking at, maybe I should look at this as well. What is this entrepreneurship? If James can do this, why can't I? Let me look at this. And that's what started me really going on Google and looking at what opportunities there are. And then when I saw, there are good businesses who have great clients and great owners, but they don't have necessarily a succession plan to buy the businesses or someone to run the businesses, and they could be a good way for someone like me who has got experience, who can bring that. And that's when I asked you on the phone, see, this is what I'm thinking of doing. So all our conversations about Iolas were pretty much across continents while you were rowing across the Atlantic, really. That's how it started.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a satellite phone, which we got like 5 minutes each day. And I still remember you saying at the end of the row, you came back and you said, every day I would tell you something and then you would have 24 hours to think about it when you had nothing else to do. And then you would, when you called me later, then you would have an update again and we would talk a bit more about it. So
yeah,
it was quite interesting to hear that side of the story as well.
But I think one of the things I don't know if you found this, but probably initially when we were engaging with businesses and business owners, we'd be doing similar things, but actually we both have very different but complementary skill sets. So yours is a deep understanding of the construction trade and engineering and the whole built environment, whereas mine is around finance and strategy.
It slowly
and
came to us,
acquisitions.
didn't it?
So I think that's probably the big shift the last couple of years, is really understanding what our two roles are and where we should be investing our time and effort.
Yeah, and that kind of picks to the question we get asked being husband and wife, and that kind of helps us that we have two zones of terrors generally, which collide sometimes, but generally we know what our strengths are and we focus on those strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
2 years ago or something, we kind of had that revelation in a way as well, isn't it? Or else we were earlier it was more like a bit more organic.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Definitely, you're obviously a much more client focused and
Team
focused, and I'd be focusing on strategy and finance mainly. Those are the two elements that I'd be focusing on. So it does works now.
What have you found has been the challenge of us working together? He smiles. There are so many challenges.
Yeah, I think that, well, what are the pros and cons, I suppose? So the pros are, there's no one I trust more of everyone I've worked with than you, because I've seen you operate, and I know how you are going to deal with situations.
Can I just add on to that as well? This is one of the things if someone asks me that, if they're thinking about working with their partner, that's one of the pros I say as well. I think the biggest one is that your values match, and in a way that your end goal matches as well, because you kind of know what your personal objective is as well as the business, and it kind of aligns very well.
Yeah. You're kind of aiming for the same thing. What else?
Oh God.
No. I mean, I think the main con is just obviously trying to separate out, making sure that the business side doesn't spill over into, dining room chat with children and extended family.
It does happen though, invariably, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, that definitely does happen. But it's trying to partition those kind of hats and roles we play in our lives.
It's so many times. So, I mean, it has happened a few times, and recently I can think of is I would have seen, we were on a break and I saw an email, and I knew I would like to talk to you about that email, but I knew that you weren't looking at your emails. So I was really like, I should not bring this up because I have seen it, which was a mistake enough, and I don't want to because you can end up dragging the other person into your emotion because you work together. And I think that has been, that is the biggest challenge as to where does work stop and the personal life begins, and other way around.
Starting to put more structure into the businesses with regular reviews and responsibilities for operating from different people. It all helps, I think. Yeah, and overall, if I look at entrepreneurship in general, I guess one of the appealing things was the flexibility, and certainly I think we've had a lot more time and flexibility in terms of pickups and spending time with Peter and spending time with his childhood. So we'll work hard, but it'll be on our terms. I suppose that's probably the biggest difference of entrepreneurship versus a job.
Yeah, but it has got its own cons as well. So just that's the positive. But I was speaking to a friend, and my friend who is probably listening to this when we put this out, she knows I'm talking about her. But we were having a conversation, and she has started her own thing quite recently as well. And, it's your own baby. And you can't stop. It's like you can't just turn off a switch in your head when you're not thinking about your business or your project you're delivering and stuff. And so that's the challenge it can become all consuming as well. So yes, you might be taking a break because you have the flexibility to do that, but you're still thinking about work. So it's like,
yeah, no, it is.
We are always thinking about work as well. Not always, but
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's why entrepreneurs are passionate about what they do. But
Exactly.
it's that's why I prefer doing active breaks or active things. Is just because you can't, if you're going sailing or doing whatever you're going to do, canoeing or whatever, that you can't not think about anything but,
The
doing
activity at
the
hand.
activity that you're doing at hand. And traveling helps as well because it takes you out of your
Comfort.
sort of day-to-day comfort as well.
Yeah, because if we just lie somewhere, neither of us will be relaxed. We'll be worked up. We'll have the opposite impact, really.
Yeah, I think it was the NVIDIA CEO. There's a clip of him talking to Stanford University about entrepreneurship is like constantly having a chasm in front of you, and if you knew what you knew when you set out about entrepreneurship, you just wouldn't do it. You just got to take the next step, and then the next step, and the next
Each
step.
day as it comes.
Yeah.
Each day as it comes. What are the biggest opportunities and challenges you see for us or for the businesses, or what you have seen in general for people who are considering entrepreneurship?
I mean, I think that there's a big macro trend about 2/3 of the wealth is still sat with baby boomers who created great businesses back decades ago, and that transition from the value that they've created in the marketplace to the next generation. I think there's a big opportunity there. There's a lot of businesses that do great work, but sometimes they need injecting with life or money or energy or taking in a different direction. So I think there's a big trend of demographic retirement of that baby boomer generation. So that'd be one. Second is obviously technological shifts as we have different ways of working in workplaces. I think the AI conversation is about integrating it with the existing workflows, not about replacement. So that's a second one, I think, as well. And obviously the thing that we're seeing in in the world that we're in is the decarbonisation or efficiency of buildings. There's just the aging built environment in the UK was all built, decades, if not hundreds of years ago. And there's the electrification shift. There's just an upgrade shift. There's a change of use in the way that we're using buildings. Flexible working did temporarily have a reduction in people coming to the office, but there's been a huge growth of flexible workspaces, which have taken off as well. So, yeah, lots of macro shifts there.
One of the things you touched on also is the built environment where we are in. And I was doing one of the earlier podcasts and we were talking about we spend so much of our times indoor in this country. And if you think about it but the way the space is being used is changing. So that creates that huge opportunity. But just touching on AI, I was on a call yesterday. It was a Teams call for hashtag advertisement here. We are going on a trip for Malawi in October, and I took notes because some of my team members weren't able to attend, and one of the other ladies took notes as well, but she used AI to enhance her notes. And so I shared them with everyone, and then she shared them. And I was like, oh my God, your notes are like they're on steroids. They were incredible. And she said, oh, I just took the same notes, but I then used AI to add. And then she used the website link of the group we are using to go there as well. And we're going to do some incredible stuff. So AI used all of that information and spat out this amazing bit of summary of the meeting, basically. I was so impressed, and I was like, wow, you can use it to. People need to kind of shift it from thinking that this is going to take away from what we do, but think of it as adding on to what we do already and adding a different perspective. And sometimes you might not like that perspective, but you decide whether you take that on board or not. So I found that fascinating to see the output. And I had these dry 15 points notes, and something which she prepared was with emoticons and things like that. And it was just pretty to look at as well. So
the other thing we spoke about the other day was the SME sector. I think is something that employs 2/3 of people in the UK,
And even in the construction industry, the impact is, over 60%. It's all these amazing businesses who are a part of this industry, and we talk about the big companies quite a lot, and not enough about these companies who are employing huge workforces, bringing some incredible solutions to the problems they saw. And we have met so many business owners, haven't we, through our journey? And we have had quite a few observations. Do you want to touch on any of those?
Yeah, I think there's a large element of selflessness with business owners who, will be always thinking about how can I service my client or clients better? How can I do right by my team? And, generally going for, months sometimes with no pay and staying up at night about whether big clients will pay their money and employ people. Yeah, it's really quite an eye opener coming from the corporate world. You worked for Hugo Boss, one of the biggest retailers. I worked for Tesco, at the time the biggest retailer in the UK, and it's just a completely different mentality. So yeah, I think the value it
opened our eyes, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
As to what do these people do?
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks, oh, you own a business, and there must be, you must be earning so much money or whatever. But actually, the sleepless nights you have over what's tomorrow going to bring, and the responsibility. I always think as the number of people and number of families you're responsible for.
So I think it's good to be able to support different business owners in their different transitions, in that. So I think that's probably the biggest eye opener for me. How about you?
For me, it was a lot of these business owners have started with a problem they saw. So, the thing about a startup, they saw a problem, they found a solution, and they started work. And then they were like, oh, I'm good at this. And then they developed a solution. The clients liked it. It grows. Then they hire new people. And then suddenly the shift happens where they are not doing the thing they loved the most, but they are left with doing HR. They're left with doing finance, invoicing, chasing debt. And you can see a lot of these people or finding the new client. So a lot of these people have done this day in, day out for decades. And then you see them so tired at the end of it. And still, not dazed is the wrong word, but just pretty much rabbit caught in headlights. So it's nice sometimes when we have got involved in the past and gave them a breathing space to get involved in the things they like to do the most.
Yeah.
And took away the not painful part, but just the part which they didn't, work they didn't anticipate they should be doing.
Yeah, you kind of move up from technician to manager to ultimately business owner and leader, and that's the
different job spec.
Different scopes of work that people do. But yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of business owners out there that we've met who just are huge contributors to the economy and problems that clients solve, but also just employers, employers of whole communities
and good people.
Yeah.
And I used to, even when I was in my corporate job, working with consultants who came from the SME background more than the big consultancies. And sorry, I'm saying that out in the open, because they understand they're closer to the client a lot more. And which got me, I knew who I get. I get a director level person with immense experience to join and solve a problem with me. And that was what I needed. So I actively did that because the outcomes used to be fantastic. And it is also, they're very agile in deliverables and problem solvers. And that's what I find with whoever has started a business, like great problem solvers. And nothing phases you. What do you think would be a message for you who is looking for going on their own and doing entrepreneurship or joining forces with their partners and going into business together? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would. I think it's.
I'm not holding a gun to his head.
No. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's understanding like what if you can leverage the experience you've already got. You know, I suppose in a way we've been acquisition entrepreneurs a little bit, and then that's morphed into more operating more recently. But you know, finding a sector that you're comfortable with already and passionate about is a very good starting point. So you know, being in the built environment and helping UK and wider achieve net zero.
There's a purpose to it, isn't it?
There's a purpose, yeah, exactly. So I think that's pretty key. From a partner perspective, I think it's just trying to understand with any partnership what are you aligned in what you're trying to achieve, and you know where do your roles kind of start and finish. And it doesn't necessarily need to be written down, but it's good to have that conversation about what people are going to own. And I think that's something we've spoken about with when we're recruiting people as well, is having people that take, you know, full end-to-end ownership of things is really key as well. So it's trying to find, you know, like-minded people essentially.
Yeah, I guess for me it's been also just one point which I didn't mention is when we come to work, I always try and like really tell the team as well, just because we are married doesn't mean that we come as a unit at work as well. So there will be times when there will be something which is mentioned to me and someone will say, oh, you know, this is a bit confidential, not to be mentioned anytime. And then in a week's time, they would be surprised that you don't know about it. But that's the thing, that work then is your completely different personality. We are two different people who bring different perspectives to work, rather than, because we are business partners and life partners, we have a same voice. And that's a bit, do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think it just comes back to that delineating the roles. You know, what are the roles that you're trying to do day to day, and in our case it's quite different, so I think that helps.
I think on that note I would say that yes, do give it a go if you have that opportunity to work with your partners or even start something of your own, right? It's worth a chance. Have a plan, have a backup, that if it doesn't work out I can always go back to this and this. But if you have an idea, an opportunity, it's worth a shot. See how it goes. If it doesn't work, then you can always go back to whatever you're doing before. So yeah, it's so far been okay for us and we're very grateful for it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining today.
No problem.
Thank you so much for listening to Business of Building. If you're not already, please make sure you're subscribed so you never miss any of our shows. And for more information about what we do, you can check our website fhpgroup.com, and we'll see you next time.